Hello, everybody, and welcome to Daily Dose TV. I'm going to be covering Days of Our Lives from May the 15th, which was this past Monday, until May the 19th, Friday, which is today. Okay, what's happening in Salem? Oh my goodness. All kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff. It's been a great week. If you're a fan, Harris, Patch, and Chad are on a boat headed toward the vessel that they believe that Kate is being held hostage on. And she is indeed. When they get to the boat, it's such a big boat, they split up. There's three of them. Harris and Patch both run into those big bully guys. And they have their little run-ins with them. Patch, however, finds Kate. And of course, Kate is being wined and dined by Dimitri Sloger. I don't know what his last name is. I'm just guessing it. It's something big and complicated like that. Okay, so I get the impression, but I don't recall, that maybe he used to work with the ISA, or maybe he's such an active criminal he's just familiar with them. But he knows a lot about everyone in the ISA. So he's got Kate. So Chad comes in with the gun. Dimitri grabs Kate up, and he's holding the gun on her. Well, just a few minutes more, Patch and Harris show up. Harris actually rescued Patch and rescued him from a guy that had a gun on him. So he rescued him prior to that. So those two show up. So here they've got, all three of them got their guns on Dimitri, but he's got a gun held to Kate's head. And he's sitting here, saying whatever to them, I don't recall. And Kate does something. He's holding her, and then she stomps his foot, and she's able to push him and pull herself away and get over to the good guys. And she said, "You wanted to dance with me? There's your dance, man." He was trying to dance with her, and it seemed like he was trying to wine and dine her, but apparently he had done that to Billy. So they get Kate, and they take her back to dry land, where, of course, we have Bo, who was laying in a coma. Because I don't watch people's spoilers, because there's just 50% of the time they're right or wrong, unless it's coming right from the Days of Our Lives page. So I had no idea, and I hope this isn't true, that this little stint of Bo and Hope's is already pretty much over. They have very few more scenes to air, is what I'm understanding. They were just there for a short stint, which doesn't make any sense to me. But this is the second time in 2 years that the Days writers has just written something just stupid. And the first one was with Abigail's murder. No, Clyde did not murder Abigail. That Gwen did it, and I know she did it. And then they twisted it around to Clyde. All that waiting, all the investigation, so many people that could have done it, and they come up with Clyde because nobody was really suspecting him. It was a suck deal, man. It was a suck deal for the fans. And so Gwen, who I believe with all my heart murdered her, what the writers say. So what was I saying? So apparently Bo and Hope aren't having some big return. And Sierra has gone back to the boat, or to wherever Ben and baby Bo is, and she's pregnant again. So it doesn't make any sense to me that the angels and God supposedly sent Bo back to life for him to just end up in a coma and not being able to enjoy his life and his family. That's a real downer for the fans, man. I'm just not happy about that. Anyway, as an extension to that, Sean is going around just beating himself in the head, basically, because, of course, he shot his dad. Now his dad's in a coma, you know, and everybody keeps telling him, you know, you thought he was going to hurt your mother, but he didn't, Sean says. And I'm responsible for my dad laying in there in a coma. Even Bo would not have blamed him for this. But, oh my God, it was awful. So Sean is feeling guilty like a big dog. And Belle, she's worried about it. And she has a long talk on Monday, I believe it is, with Kayla. And Kayla keeps trying to reassure her. You know, of course, Kayla's man, Patch, is still in Greece. Kayla, Marlena, and then Kayla, Marlena, and Stephanie all came back. Kate is in a hotel room there. They're at Greece, her and Roman, and he's trying to spoil her a little bit, but they haven't got back to Salem yet, but they will be on their way soon. But anyway, before they get out of there, so Harris says he's going to stay with Dimitri until the ISA people come and pick him up. And Patch and who was the other one? Harris. No, Patch and Chad. They all go back to the hotel, and Chad calls Stephanie because he's getting ready to go home. Okay, so Bill is so worried about Bo and how he's blaming himself for this. So, like I said, they used up a lot of airtime with her talking to Kayla. Okay, so I skipped over a little part. After the guys got Kate free and they're all getting ready to leave, Kate said, "I'm not going anywhere," and took up my wedding rings back. And she's like, "That one guy had them," and Harris and Patch said, "Well, we know exactly where he is." So they went looking for him, and he had already got up and gotten him another gun and came up behind them. So because Kate wanted her wedding ring, she endangered all their lives. The man shot. Patch got shot. This was Monday. A lot went on this week. Some kind of action almost every day. There was a boring day here and there. So he had to go get fixed up, and he was fine. And he called Sweetness and told her about it, and, you know, not to worry, he's done fixed up and out. You know. Okay, so Alex acts because Alex talked Maggie into going to Greece to be with Victor and Bo. And Alex, all he had to do was close this deal. Everything was set up. All he had to do is get this guy to sign on the dotted line. That's it. He didn't have to talk to him about anything. He didn't have to try to sell him anything. The deal was el dano. So he asked Stephanie to go with him. It was kind of like just a little backup, moral support or whatever. He didn't suspect anything was going to go wrong, but a little backup wouldn't help. So he went. She went with him, and they ended up meeting this little prick off the old block who said he was going to talk to Maggie, and he thought Maggie was basically too old school, and he wanted to go somewhere a little bit wilder with his plans. And Alex said, okay, we can do that. But then Stephanie talked him into, Maggie told you not to do that. You need to just get him to sign it. If he doesn't sign it, then you need to let him go. But Alex then changed his mind and said, "I'm not going to be able to do that, but we'll what? I don't know." Anyway, the guy told him, "Okay, well, I'll think about it and let you know," or something. And he walked off, and Alex kept saying, wait, and the guy wouldn't even talk to him. Okay, so the next thing you know, Alex gets the call from Maggie, and she's talking to him, and he's asking about Bo and stuff. And she asked him if he got the deal signed, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, "Well, not yet, but I'm going to. I'm sure of it." And she said, "Alex, he called me. He backed out of the deal." Alex, I'm sorry, but you're fired. So she fired Alex. Alex is reeling. It really wasn't Alex's fault. It was Maggie's fault. He thought Maggie was too old-timey, or whatever. Didn't have some bright, updated ideas, basically. Now, I love Maggie just fine the way she is. I think she does great at running businesses. But, Alex did mess it up by saying she was new to the business, and this guy didn't want to invest billions of dollars in business with somebody who was new on the block. And I understand that. So Alex and Stephanie decided to have a drink. He was just reeling from, being fired. And they were having drinks. She went to the bathroom, and her phone rang, and it was Chad. And Alex is like, oh, I'll just answer her phone. Why does he do shit like that? I was starting to think Alex Kiriakis didn't get the Kiriakis brain. And she comes back, and he's like, oh, Stephanie, it's Chad. I didn't want you to miss the call, so I answered it. And she was so glad to hear from Chad. She didn't care how the phone got answered. But, Chad was asking, what are you doing answering Stephanie's phone? And he's like, oh, we were just having a drink. And so, Chad questioned Stephanie about it. And she said, oh, it's just tight in business. It was nothing. So, Chad's not, he just let it go. I do not want to see Alex and Stephanie get together. Because I think he messed up, and he messed up bad. And I know he feels bad for it and everything, but she's already with Chad, and I don't want to see anybody hurt our Chad. So that's my whole thought on it. Let's see. So then we move on to Tuesday. That's it for Monday. Tuesday the 16th. Okay, so we go back to the prison. And it seems like Megan and Kristen are bonding. So Rachel sends a letter to Kristen. And Megan is pushing the little magazine cart. And she goes by Kristen. And Kristen's like, I'm not worried about it. Nobody's sending me anything. She said, we never know. Here's an envelope with some little childlike writing. So she got a letter from Rachel. I need to do a video about Rachel's letter because it was a little bit too much for a 8-year-old little girl to comprehend, much less write. So, in the letter, she's telling her that she has some wonderful news for her. And that the news is that she doesn't have to, that Chloe and Daddy are broke up for good now. Because she heard Grandpa John telling Grandma Mardana, that Chloe had moved in with Xander Cook. Now this is what she's reading from an 8-year-old's letter. She's not going to not only remember all that, she's really not going to know somebody's last name as an 8-year-old that she doesn't know very well. She tells her something about how Bo was shot by Sean. Sean accidentally shot Bo, and she goes into detail over that. How Sean thought Bo was going to hurt her mom. This is not something, even telling her that he got shot, that's not something she would be saying. This whole letter, it's not written by an 8-year-old or a child, and there's no way they can dress the way they wrote it up to where it is. So Megan hears her saying something about Bo, and she's like, what? She's like, oh my God, and she's freaking out. And Kristen calms her down, and she's like, he's not dead, he's in a coma. And she's like, oh my God, and she's just crying and crying and crying and freaking out. And Megan is planning a prison break for her and Kristen, but she said something about, well, that's why I'm trying to get out of here, or something about that. And Kristen said, that's why you're trying to get us out of here, right, sister? Because it sounds like you forgot about me. Because you promised me you would get me out. And she said, and you will be free. So, Dimitri is busy just filling Harris's head full of all kinds of nonsense. But he tells him he has another hostage, Megan. And Patch is like, Megan? I mean, Harris is like, Megan's in jail and that's where she's going to stay. And he said, really? And he said, yeah, I know you're probably wanting a immunity, but you're not going to get it. And he said, well, I have another hostage. Matter of fact, I might have misunderstood that. But he did say Megan was a hostage. But, I thought. But anyway, he's telling him he has someone else besides Megan. And he said, and Shane Donovan, the head of the ISA, he says he is going to gladly give me and Megan immunity for this other hostage. And Harris can't figure out who the hostage is. Of course, Dimitri finally gives him a bunch of hints, and I'm surprised he couldn't figure it out by then, because I had already. And the hostage is Andrew Donovan, Shane's son, the other ISA person. So, yeah, so he's got Andrew held hostage, tied up somewhere, because it shows you. Let's see. Megan claims, she tells Kristen who the person is on the outside that's going to help them. And she told her Demetrius. And Kristen's like, isn't that nut, blah, blah, blah. And Megan said, is that any way to talk about your nephew? She said, my nephew. So Dimitri is Megan's son. I got the impression that it might have been Beau's son as well, but her and Beau's son, but I don't think she said who's the daddy was, that it was Beau's. You just assume it from her conversation. And that's how Tuesday ends, is that we see Donovan tied up, Andrew Donovan. Okay, so something else that happened is Xander and Chloe are moved in their new apartment. And they get up, they hear something in the middle of the night, and it's just a picture that fell off the wall. And they're talking, and Xander says something about maybe the apartment's haunted. And Chloe says, I don't think so. I don't believe in that. And besides, who would be haunting us? He said, not us, me. I can think of one person for sure. And I knew who he was going to say. And he said, Susan Banks. And she said, what makes you think Susan Banks would be haunting you? And he said, because if I hadn't kidnapped her, she'd still be alive. It's my fault she's dead. And, Chloe was trying to console him a little bit. No, it wasn't right what you did. But, Ava drove her off that cliff. But I was getting so excited thinking that Susan Banks might be coming on. Mr. Clown, is this your clown car? Because this don't look like a clown car to me. Her conversations with them during that high-speed chase was just hysterical. Unfortunately, it resulted in her death and not the evil Ava. So that is what happened on a Tuesday. Now Wednesday, Sloan bumps into Nicole at the hospital because Sloan was getting her birth control pills refilled. And Nicole was getting prenatal vitamins. Of course, Nicole's not watching where she's walking like they never do. Just like they all talk to themselves out in public and And then they're like, oh, did you overhear me? That's some dumb writing right there. Because nobody does that so much. But anyway, she bumped into her, knocked her prenatal vitamins out of her hand. She picked them up and she's reading them. And she's like, prenatal vitamins? What are you doing with these? Well, I know they're not for you, Nicole. Eric just got through telling me that you're in menopause. You know, like she was rubbing it in Nicole's face, and Nicole didn't say anything. And she said, well, there was a lady in front of me. Maybe I got the wrong one. And Sloan is too slick. And she said, well, your name's on the prescription, honey. So the only kind of change you're going through is you're pregnant. So they had a little talk, and she told Sloan, look, I don't guess I can get you to keep this quiet. And Sloan's like, why would I do that? And she said, do you really want Eric to know that I'm pregnant? I mean, can you at least wait till I find out who the baby's daddy is? Because I don't know if it's Eric or EJ. So Sloan agrees to keep her secret as Marlena walks up and overhears Sloan saying she was going to keep Nicole's secret. So they had a little chit-chat, but everything was uncomfortable. Sloan wanted to have dinner with her and Eric and John and Marlena, blah, 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 blah. And then she left, and Nicole said, oh, she just makes me sick. And, Marlena said she wasn't her biggest fan either. But there was something else I was wanting to say, and I don't know what it was. Okay, so she's getting her to zip it. Okay, Colin, after Jada's last visit, and his own sister, Sloan had found him and told him to stop everything he was doing and get the hell out of town. And he told her he would. But he didn't. But he did move from that seedy hotel. And what was the name of it? White Dove? That's a beautiful name to name a slummy hotel where murderers and all kinds of people hang out. Well, definitely people that can't afford the fancy hotel. So Sloan told Colin to get out of town. And okay, there's a lot of airtime on Wednesday spent between Anna and Nicole. Nicole's standing there. She's nauseated. She's stressed out. And Anna is just very comforting to Nicole. And I like this little bond that they're having. Anna is the only other person besides Sloan and Kayla now that know Nicole was pregnant. So she gave her some encouraging words and stuff. So that was nice. They had a lot of airtime on that, talking to her, Anna asking her a bunch of crazy questions. Eric overhears Sloan on the phone saying she loves you, and it's because she was leaving a message for her brother. She explains that to him, and he was fine, but he did question her about could he possibly be doing this to Paulina, and she said, well, no. But she knows that he is. Rafe and Jada are on this boy's tail, and they've looked him up, and he doesn't have a record. And then they figured out, he's British. Let's check. Stockholm. Stockyard, Stockholm, something. For Britain and stuff. So they found him over there, and he did have a record. And they also found out that his last name is Bedford. And who else's last name is Bedford? Not Sloan Peterson, because she took her mother's maiden name. But her name was Bedford, and so was her mother and father. Okay, so, okay. So, goodbye, what? White dove. Colin doesn't have a record. Rafe checked. Abe gets a call from the health inspector. And they want to meet him and Paulina at Sweet Bits tomorrow. Or sometime later in the week. It's Wednesday, yeah. So I already had a thought when this happened that was probably Colin calling them and setting them up. And I would be right. So they're excited. They're excited about it. And it's a call from the health. Alright, is that everything for Wednesday? Task went to Abe and Paulina's house and was requesting that Abe fire Rafe because he's just not doing a good enough job, and she wanted to put Paulina in charge. It was a good laugh for all of us. Yeah. Now we move on to Thursday, where it left off Wednesday with Sloan bumping into Nicole and running into her with the vitamins. And so Thursday is, when she agrees to keep her secret. So Abe and Paulina meet the health inspector, who is, like we thought, Colin, at the bakery. He ends up stringing out a whole little thing, asking them questions, and they're starting to wonder if something's wrong. And he ends up, not a ball bat, it was a rolling pin he picked up and hit Abe in the head with it. And he looked like he was going to hit Paulina with it, but he didn't. Rafe and Jada get the results on Colin, and they know who he is. Jada wants to talk to Talia, but no answer. She's busy making out with Chanel. Colin has a prison file, and his last name's Bedford. I already told you that. Belle goes off on Eric having a fit because he decided to be in a relationship with Sloan, and he ends up apologizing and telling him she's just stressed out over Sean. And when Belle and Eric were fighting with each other, Marlena walked in on both of them, asked them couldn't they get along and stuff. She's always the peacemaker. Okay, so Friday. Oh my God. We're moving on to Friday today, and it was an explosive thing. Okay, so Abe is unconscious. Colin ends up taking Paulina by gunpoint, and Jake proposes to Gabby. And they tell Nicole and EJ that they are going to run Tamara as the Tamara couple. So EJ turns around and apologizes and proposes to Nicole, but we don't see her answer on this day. Okay, so Rafe and Jada track Sloan down at the pub, and they're asking her questions about her brother, and she is, trying to not answer them, and they told her they can't believe that he was in town and she didn't have any contact with him. So she came clean with them and told them, she overheard something they had said. She thought it might be him. She went to check it out just the day before, and it was. She told him to just get out of town and stop anything he was doing. And she said he is the one that's been doing it. So she ratted him out. But is it too late? It just might be. Now, nobody knows what Colin's doing back at the bakery with Abe being knocked out. He took Paulina by gunpoint and took her back to the fancy hotel that he was staying in, where he proceeded to show her this notebook of their family when they were all happy, and how his mom and dad were dancing in a fountain, and Paulina's trying to, he's trying to prove to her, my dad would never cheat on my mom. But, she's trying to tell him, relationships change. People change over the years. But he's not hearing it. He's got a gun on her. He's got that little thing. That little binder. And we don't know what he's going to do with her just yet. Okay. Talia is with Chanel, but then she just kind of breaks out of it and says she just can't do it anymore. She's been lying to her, and she tells her she has a boyfriend and it's Sloane's sister, and Chanel is reeling. She can barely comprehend everything that is going on. So she tells her to get out and everything, and she does, and she's just flipping out. So she's trying to call her mom to warn her mom, but Colin answers the phone, and he tells her where to come because Colin has got Paulina on top of the roof. Oh yeah, he's probably going to push her off the roof like his mother died, at gunpoint, and that's where Chanel's headed, to the top of the roof. So Abe is able to call Rafe and tell him he's been attacked, and Rafe went to him right away. And then he finds out somebody's got Paulina. So I'm sure it didn't show it, but he gets Rafe help, and he's looking for Paulina. Nobody knows where Paulina is. Jade is looking for Talia and Paulina. Everybody's looking for her. Anyway, Talia goes back to the fancy hotel, and she finds Paulina's scarf, and she then knows that Colin has Paulina, but she does not know where. Now, when it went off Friday, Chanel and Paulina were on the roof with Colin holding the gun at them. He hadn't shot either one of them, but that's how it ended on Friday, and I did a short about it with a little spot from the actual show. So, if you want to check it out, you can. That's a wrap for this week, May 15th through the 19th. Have a great weekend. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe, and I will see you in Salem.